don't time the markets. There is a thing called mutual fund. इसमें पैसे डालेंगे तो कुछ तो हमारे पैसे बनेंगे.
How many funds are too many? Like, is there such a thing as over diversification, and can that really, impact your portfolio?
We have grown multi-folds, almost 6 times what we had back then to what we are at right now. For the record high data of 26,632,000 SIPs that were registered, everyone really wants their money to grow. ELSS.
Yeah.
ELSS is something every salaried person should have. During the Russia-Ukraine, or even right now during the recent, Trump tariff, where we saw a lot of fluctuation, not only in Indian markets but global markets as well. Understand risk, understand what is your investment tenure, leave the short-term noise. A lot of these online applications that gives you top 10 return generating mutual funds. But if you just blindly go and pick those mutual funds, you'll see in 2 years, 3 years, those mutual funds would not have been the top 10 in your particular portfolio. Your SIP would have yielded you far greater return than your lump sum investment.
Are mutual funds ideal in the long term? Are mutual funds safe? Do they really diversify your portfolio? And क्या mutual funds invest करने का कोई सही time है? All of these questions are going to be answered by our very own Tanvi Kanchan, our in-house mutual fund maestro. She has some insights on how to build an ideal portfolio. So Tanvi, if you're ready, let's get into the mutual fund ka mehfil. So Tanvi, mutual funds are really booming right now in India, especially among young investors. What do you think, according to you, is driving up this, big hike, and what is the future of mutual funds shaping up to be?
Thank you so much for that question. I think if you're seeing the recent data as well, there was a lot of news of volatility. There were a lot of not only domestic, events that were happening, but also geopolitical events. Regardless of that, we have seen mutual fund industry grow at a very, very, very substantial rise. If you take just the last 10-year data, we have grown multi-folds, almost 6 times what we had back then to what we are at right now. SIP data, the month of April saw the record high data of 26,632,000 SIPs that were registered. And this is the highest ever data, and you're seeing this data just rise there on forth. So you're not only seeing a one-time investment coming into the Indian mutual fund industry, you're seeing a very constant, gradual increase in this particular sector. And this is all contributing to the domestic factors. You're seeing people be more aware. Mutual funds aayi hai, this campaign that was there, everyone knows. Whether they understand what is a mutual fund or not, everyone at least is aware about, okay, there is a thing called mutual fund. इसमें पैसे डालेंगे तो कुछ तो हमारे पैसे बनेंगे, कहीं ना कहीं तो हमें एक थोड़ा सा, you'll have a percentage of equity as a part of your portfolio by having mutual fund. And that has mainly contributed to this particular rise. Other than that, there are all these apps. Now it's very investor friendly. You don't have to sign 100 papers. You don't have to go through a very complicated process. You download an app, you see the funds that you like, or if you don't even understand, you see the main funds that are there and go about with your investment journey. It's as simple as that. The third major contributor is everyone really wants their money to grow. One is, you would see your parents, they would invest in FDs. ठीक है बेटा FD में डाल दे हो जाएगा. But right now, is the inflation beating that number? You should have some benchmark, right? Inflation is not able to beat what FD returns are there. So if you really want your money to grow, if you really want to make impact in your portfolio, mutual fund becomes a much more easier option for people to invest in.
So, wow, Tanvi, that's so heartening to hear that young India and young investors are taking to mutual funds so consistently, and they're committing, so as to say, like your SIP numbers are better than ever. It's so nice to see that. But as a young investor, ELSs, hybrid, sectoral, there's so many different kinds of categories of mutual funds. Usme agar confusion hota hai, then what should a person's, process be to find that ideal mutual fund for you?
I think, as you said, there is a lot of confusion. SEBI came up in 2019 with categorization.
Right.
Because at that point of time, there were so many funds and people were getting extremely confused. So SEBI said, okay, I'm going to categorize, and every fund is to be following that particular categorization. But even now, our mutual fund industry is at 69.9 trillion. That's a lot. So that AUM consists of all of these subcategories and broader categories. So instead of an investor just going and being like, "Acha, theek hai, this category looks nice," because maybe Nifty Reality would have delivered 105% return last year, but is that category going to deliver the same return? Is that category something
Right.
that is meeting your risk, return, your investment objectives? I think before just jumping into investing, if people can just take a step back, understand what my risk is, understand what my return objective is. Okay, I want to make X return. Everyone hears these numbers, 20%,
true.
30%. But these returns are also subjected to long-term investment. So that's
Yeah.
where your time horizon comes into picture.
True.
So before we jump into categorization, let's understand what my risk and return objective are and allocate funds basis that. Like
Right.
as you mentioned, Sam, ELSs.
Yeah.
ELS is something every salaried person should have
Shouldn't.
because it helps you with your tax deductions. If you're filing it as per the old regime, ELSs is a part of ATC where you can get that benefit. So I think instead of just looking at categories and this vast era of funds that we have right now, let us understand मेरा risk कितना है, मेरे पास कितना सेविंग है और मेरा tenure कितना है by when I want to kind of have a realization of these funds. Let me align my goals to these particular investment objective and then go about saying ki I want to do this much of a monthly investment and this much becomes my lump sum investment.
Right. So what you're saying is basically personalize it. First, you have your own filters, and then you take that to the mutual fund market, and you'll already have these filters set in, so you don't have a whole confusion over there when you finally get there.
Absolutely. And not two portfolios should be same. If you say, you would want to invest in a much more safer assets, for example, saying that, okay, you want to have some return objective in 2 years. Your portfolio and my portfolio will not look the same because I want to invest and forget about it. I'm like, ठीक है 20 साल के बाद देखेंगे when I retire or something like that. And maybe you're saving for like a vacation or something like that. So it's very important to not have a direct comparison with your peers, with your colleagues, with your friends. Understand what is your objective. Say, okay, if my objective was long term and I have invested as per my objective, let me actually see my entire fund through the entire process. Let me not panic from these short term corrections or the short term news. It is very easy to redeem and sit on cash. But then when the rally again kicks in, you don't really know how much of an impact that has had on your portfolio. So the objective is A, understand risk, understand what is your investment tenure, leave the short-term noise. Keep a long-term investment as long as your basis fundamentals are correct.
Right. So you heard it here. Leave the short-term noise. So perfect. So I think Tanvi, what you're saying is first get my asset allocation set. I have that set, and now I'm looking, staring at the screen full of 5,000 mutual funds. What's my next step?
That's a very good question. I mean, I think once you have a broader asset allocation in place, then you jump to the process of, okay, abhi kahan invest karna hai? What should I look at to fill up my asset allocation?
Right.
You would have seen this statement plastered across all the mutual fund, disclosure document that says past performance is not an indicator of future returns.
Yeah, I have
What
seen that.
do they say? That okay, agar one scheme has generated 20% in the last year, that doesn't mean that this will generate 20% in the next year. And you're not investing basis the past data only. You're investing for future needs. You're investing for your future goals, for in all your different plans that you have that you want to consume your money. So how do you go about investing basis only this past data? So one is you need to look at, of course, you have returns, but other than returns, you also need to look at the risk that the fund has taken.
Right.
So before investing, just look at the fact sheet. Say that, okay, if my fund has generated 20% return in the last year, has it consistently done that year on year? What is the last 3-year performance of this particular fund that it has generated? So you look at a long-term data. Then you look at the risk. What is the kind of risk that my fund has taken to generate this kind of returns? For example, this 20%. Did it take a higher risk? Did it take a lower risk?
Right.
Then have a peer comparison. Did the same category did another fund take a lower risk and generate a higher return? Because what this indicator tells you is that the return generating potential in the future. Tomorrow, if the markets are down 10%, 20%, 30%, how much of an impact will it have on your portfolio? what is the kind of downside that your portfolio will have and how quickly will it rebound.
Right.
So a quantitative factor should be looked at when you're looking at a portfolio selection. Along with that, qualitative numbers, for example, what is the kind of news behind this AMC? Is this AMC there for a longer period of time?
Right.
Should not be like a new AMC that does not have any data backing to it, because then you're going blind. You're just trusting, okay, maybe this fund manager will do good with my money or not. So have an EMC which has a track record, a fund that has been there for at least 5-year period, so that you get certain data to analyze. You see a lot of these data, like for example, a lot of these online applications that gives you top 10 return generating mutual funds. But if you just blindly go and pick those mutual funds, you'll see in 2 years, 3 years, those mutual funds would not have been the top 10 in your particular portfolio. So blindly going and picking a top 10 mutual fund from any of these websites, it's also not, it'll not really add anything. It might be a deterrent to your portfolio. So sit, understand return, at least a 3-year return that the fund has generated. Look at certain risk parameters. You don't need to look at very bigger risks, but just like standard deviation, beta, broader fact sheet that the mutual fund provides, and then go about filling your asset allocation according to that.
Perfect. So do your research is like
absolutely, and do your own research.
Thing in short. Yeah, perfect. So then I think what you're saying is that you filter down this process a lot and select just the right funds for you. I think in relation to that, how many funds are too many? Like, is there such a thing as over diversification, and can that really, impact your portfolio?
Oh, absolutely. I have seen people with like 40 schemes in the portfolio, because they're like, okay, I want to have a mix of everything, like all the categories that SEBI has. I want to invest in a small cap, in a large cap, in an ELSS, in a thematic, in a sectorial. But what that does is, it actually is not really adding value. It is over diversifying. In the process of just ensuring that you are having too many funds, you're also concentrating your funds towards specific stocks.
Right.
For example, a mutual fund, normally a fund manager has in a range of 60 to about 100 stocks as a part of the portfolio.
Right.
Like for example, if you take a large cap fund, in the large cap category, if you take any large cap fund, they will have your HDFC, they will have your Infosys, they will have your Reliance and all. Now in the large cap, if you take 5 large cap funds, your allocation towards these stocks also invariably increases.
Right.
If a fund manager had a plan of only having 2% of say HDFC Bank as a part of your portfolio, now because you've taken same 10 in that same large cap space, you have increased your allocation towards that one stock. Now if in a quarter, say the bank doesn't really do good,
right,
or there is some kind of an action over there, the impact in one fund will be only 2%. But because you have over diversified in the large cap category, what's happened is your total weighted average is more than 10-20%, depending on how you've allocated.
Right.
Then your impact in the portfolio is much higher than what that one fund manager would have. So yes, over diversification is not really something that will help you. It will take away from your return generating potential. Maybe a mix of, again, depending on how much you're looking at investing, a mix of 8 to 10 schemes in a mutual fund portfolio is more than enough across large, mid, small cap. That gives you a good flavor of all the categories. Right. At the same time, you're not too diversified or too overly invested in a particular stock or in a particular scheme.
So what I'm hearing is, ironically, if you try to diversify this much, you end up like not diversifying and instead concentrating in the same thing. So it's like the opposite of diversification.
Absolutely. Right. And then when you have a stock action that happens, you will have to see where all have I invested that has this particular stock that has an impact on my portfolio. Yeah. So again, it's more deterrent as opposed to really just having a flavor of the entire spectrum.
Right. So it's not really diversity, it's just overlap.
Absolutely.
SIP and lump sum are the common investment routes in mutual funds, and each have their own place, but which to use when? Like if young investor, if a new investor is asking.
So with regards to SIP and lump sum, it's a mode of investing in the mutual fund industry. SIP is normally used to kind of create that staggered long-term wealth, where you invest 10,000, you kind of forget about it, and in the end you kind of have a good compounded annual growth that you've kind of created on your portfolio. Lump sum is when you have a bigger chunk of money, like for example, bonuses or things like that, where the money has come in
Of course.
and you invest that money back in the markets. Now, what we did was we understood how the SIP and lump sum modes have been creating wealth for long term in the these kind of stressed market situations that we are at right now.
Right.
So if you take 2008-9 as an example, where the markets fell by almost 59.5%,
Yeah.
had you invested in an SIP, continued that SIP mode of investing, and then just done a lump sum investment, your SIP would have yielded you far greater return than your lump sum investment. So SIP,
That
what
makes
we
sense.
saw, had a 5% alpha that it created over your lump sum investment.
Oh,
That
right.
is a one-time investment and forgetting about it. Because SIP got the average of the higher and also the lower side.
Right.
Because again, you can't time the market, you don't know when the market's gonna crash. So the SIP kind of is a very good way to get the timing somewhere, but at a lower averages of sorts when there is correction in the market. Now we took the similar scenario when the markets were doing really good, the boom cycle that we saw right after that. In that scenario, of course, the lump sum did much more better. So again, there is no one strategy that fits an investor. It's a combination of both. So understand how much you have on a monthly basis, understand your expenses, understand your investment philosophy, maybe allocate a good SIP of 30%, 40% as your normal SIP plan. Post that, if there is any kind of extra money that comes in, use it as a lump sum investment.
Right. So, what are some common mistakes that you see, Tanvi, young investors make when they start out with mutual funds?
I think, as we discussed, over diversification is one
Yeah.
of the most common
Of course.
mistakes. The second is timing the markets. So even if they're sitting on a chunk of money, they say, "Oh, nahi, market thoda sa upar gaya hai. Yeah, markets niche aaya hai.
Right.
Let me wait for the markets to come further down." In that wait, they miss the rally. The markets are not really going to wait in that good correction mode also for a longer period of time, and they end up not really getting into the markets. The second is looking at specific sectorial or specific theme as, okay, this is my investment philosophy. You can invest a certain percentage of it, but not your entire, as we discussed, the asset allocation has to be clearly defined. So right now, people like defense stocks. People say used to like pharma stocks. Don't really go into one specific sector. Don't put 100% of your money in that specific sector. Have a diversified, but not an over diversified strategy. The other part is look at liquidity. Now, one thing as an investor you need to be aware of is how much of the money you're investing is available to you at any given point of time.
Right.
In terms of emergencies, in terms of any use, how much of your money is accessible to you, how much of it is in a lock-in period, and how
Right.
much of it is not. So understanding the nuances of liquidity behind your investment is extremely important.
Right.
And a lot of times people don't really put enough emphasis on that. Another important factor is having a benchmark. So it's not just about investing and saying, oh, my money is doing really good. If the benchmark is only at 10%, 12%, and your investment has only created 10, 12%, you're not really beating a benchmark.
Right.
So have a benchmark, ensure that your investments are beating that benchmark. If not, then look at a review, do a portfolio review so that you at least understand whether you're doing good or not.
Right. So, Tanvi, I remember a friend of mine when Russia Ukraine had started. This guy used to come into work every day and like, see, aaj bhi la le, aaj bhi la le, aaj bhi la le mera mutual fund portfolio. And I was like, shouldn't there be a frequency? How many times should you? The people say that you should check it regularly, but how regularly should you check your mutual fund portfolio?
I think that's a very important thing to also see. It's not like you open your app every day and your money is going to just double.
Exactly.
While you should not do that, you can look at your funds on a regular basis, but having a review and checking is two separate things.
Right.
Check, but understand what were your objective. Has it been a year, 2 year, 3 years since I've invested? If then it is in red, then yes, you need to take an action. So looking at the portfolio and reviewing the portfolio, I think should be two very separate things. Review should happen at least once every year.
Okay.
With every quarter, just see if you're beating the benchmark. what exactly is your benchmark? Are you looking at Nifty 50? But that's your large cap benchmark. So a much more proper, appropriate benchmark to your investment style. The next is the short-term volatility will be there. How much percentage of your portfolio is getting affected by the short-term volatile movements of the market is something that you need to understand. A review of the portfolio should not only be done in terms of returns. As
Right.
I said earlier, if you have generated 15, 16% return and you're saying, oh, my portfolio is doing very good, but the benchmark has done that kind of return. So
Right.
that means your portfolio has not really done anything extra to generate, additional alpha. It is just mimicking what the benchmark is. So that active management that a portfolio fund manager takes ensure that that has an impact on your portfolio. So a review at least every quarter with an annual, so that you're also in the long term capital gain side. So an action at an annual basis, something that you can look at. But yes, checking your portfolio on a regular basis and expecting any kind of a very big movement is also not a realistic part from mutual funds.
Yeah, I think that would just set in panic.
Absolutely.
So, to wrap up this really interesting session, Tanvi, what are some 3 quick insights that you can give to a young investor who's starting their mutual fund journey today?
So, of course, don't time the markets. If you're sitting
Of course.
on any kind of liquidity right now, understand if you can stagger your investments,
Yeah.
maybe do a 6 months SIP mode of investing in the markets or something like that. No one can time the markets. Even
Yeah.
the greatest of greatest could not really time the market. It's not something that's possible. So, yes, if there is a investment objective or opportunity that you feel is present at the current moment, look at it, take the investment opportunity and get into the space
Right.
of investing as per your return generating and risk generating objective. The second part, I would say, as I mentioned, align your investments as per your risk appetite. It's very important. Someone who wants to generate 20-30% but says, oh, I don't want to take too much risk, that has a very big,
It's not compatible.
that's not
yes.
aligned at all.
Yeah.
So understand both of these aspects. There's one thing of taking risk on paper, and then there is one thing of actually seeing it on your portfolio. Like
Yeah.
as you mentioned, your friend during the Russia-Ukraine, or even right now during the recent, Trump tariff, where we saw a lot of fluctuation, not only in
Yeah.
Indian markets but global markets as well. Took a very big nosedive.
Right.
So, are you okay to see that 2, 3, 4% overnight impact? If you're not, then look at a safer asset class in the mutual fund space that will not have that kind of an impact. So, understanding risk is extremely important. And of course, as we spoke about, diversification, not over diversified,
Right.
but also diversification is important so that you have a proper category allocation across the mutual fund space. So once you're well diversified, once you have that good 8-9 mix of
Right,
mutual
as you
funds
said.
as a part of your portfolio that meet your objective, I don't think there's anything stopping your investment journey there on forth.
So thank you, Tanvi, so much. I think all young investors like me out there, they're getting all their doubts answered by you. Such a great service you're doing them. Also, any other doubts that you have, please ask in the comments below. And of course, drop a like and share this to friends who also need to hear this.
Anand Rathi Share and Stock Brokers Limited. AMFI registered mutual fund distributor ARN 4478. Anand Rathi Share and Stock Brokers Limited is mutual fund distributor. Mutual funds investments are subject to market risk. Please read all scheme related documents carefully before investing.